Do.
Ray.
Where's my costume?
Perfect. Hello everyone, as you can tell from our just beige jumpsuits and Spengler,
And
the Ghostbuster, the ghost itself,
I got cheetahs.
somehow related, I don't know. We watched Ghostbusters Afterlife, the third movie in the original movie universe. This one takes place 37 years after the 1984 original movie. This one doesn't take place in Manhattan, maybe like a scene, but it's shot on a set. Spengler's daughter and her two kids, Finn Wolfhard and McKenna Grace, Phoebe and Trevor, they moved to Somerville, Oklahoma. Somerville.
Is that a reference?
Sumerian? Somerville?
oh yeah.
And guess what? Wouldn't you know it, Spengler's kids, grandkids, they realize there's ghosts in town and they got to do some busting. And that's basically the movie.
It makes him feel good.
Yeah.
It does make...
I wasn't gonna do it.
This is not a spoiler because it's basically revealed in the trailers, is that Ivo Shandar has built something also in Oklahoma that's related to what happened in Manhattan 37 years ago. This cast is stacked, as I already said: McKenna Grace, Finn Wolfhard, Carrie Coon, Paul Rudd, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, Sigourney Weaver, Bokeem Woodbine, Annie Potts, Logan Kim, who I think is in his first movie ever
Surprised me.
as podcast. Total 80s character name for a...
Total 80s character.
Yes.
Like,
It's an 80s movie.
Straight up.
Really.
And then also Celeste O'Connor, and who could forget the Demon Dogs?
not me.
Not me. I guess I'll start because
You are a huge Ghostbusters fan.
Yeah.
I love Ghostbusters, but yeah, you are.
I was a kid
These
when...
are your costumes.
Yeah, these are my costumes. I was a kid when the first one came out before I was born, but obviously I watched it at like 2 or 3. My dad didn't care. My mom didn't care. But real Ghostbusters was on TV when I was a kid. Ghostbusters 2 came out in 1989
89.
or 1990. I can't remember which. I know I watched it in like 1990. I didn't go to the theaters. But I love the first 2 movies. I don't care what the haters say about the second movie. It is just as good as the first, to me anyways. To see this 37 years later from the original, it is great. It is a great movie as a Ghostbuster fan, but I was trying to look at it critically, and I was like, this is just fan service all the way through, in a similar tone as The Force Awakens, but I'm attached to Ghostbusters. I'm not attached to Star Wars.
It's interesting you say that. I am like a casual Ghostbusters. I've seen the first 2 and that's it. And then the 2016 one.
So you've seen all the Ghostbusters.
I've seen all the movies.
But you've
I
not
haven't
seen the cartoon,
cartoons.
Yeah.
Or played the game, yeah.
I never played the game. I'd want to. Nothing. Casual. I didn't think it was fan servicey at all. Like, aside from like that one scene at the end.
It feels like Force Awakens, but like not. Force Awakens does a better job of reintroducing you into this world. This movie legit felt like I really enjoyed it as a Ghostbusters fan, and you really enjoyed it as a casual fan.
I did.
Yeah.
But I like the whole time I'm waiting for these moments that I know are coming, and the whole time I just kept thinking, this feels like it doesn't. It's hard. It doesn't. It's not. You can't have this stand on its own. There's no real ghost busting until near the end.
Yeah.
And it's kind of also, not to get too much into it, it's in short supply. This movie really is like an unraveling of a mystery that then turns into a ghost busting plot. I really liked it.
Yeah.
But it's weird. It is interesting to hear you talk about it. Or I want to hear someone who's never maybe has only seen Ghostbusters once or twice, and then to have them. Okay, well,
That's me.
it's interesting that you still really enjoyed it, because the whole time I was thinking, I'm like, yeah. If I was not a Ghostbusters fan, I would be a little lost and maybe a little bored.
That's what I kind of liked about it, because like I forgot what the little meter thing was. Eventually, you figure it out, like, oh, it's like it points where a ghost is. I know.
And I'm sitting
It's been
here
a long
like, how
time.
could you forget
Yeah.
what the PKE meter is?
And it doesn't hold your hand. Like, for like someone who's never seen any of the Ghostbusters movies, it would be very confusing. But for people like me who I'm like, yeah, I kind of remember what that is. Oh yeah, it leads to ghosts. And like, what's that little box thing? Oh yeah, it holds a trap. Like, it's a trap for a ghost.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
yeah, like I didn't think it was fan servicey at all because I really enjoyed the characters and every single like it felt like a Spielberg movie almost.
My biggest fear that it was going to be too reverent.
Yes.
Too Super 8, because I dislike Super 8, is too reverent of Spielberg for me.
But and it's weird, and it doesn't feel totally like there's maybe like 3 or 4 scenes that you're like, okay, yeah, this is getting a little too George Lucas-y, Spielberg-y, like Close Encounters feeling, but for the most part, like this movie, we talked about this too. That like a lot of people talk about the first movie and how it's like it is not serious at all.
No.
It is very jokey.
It's a comedy.
It's not very like this idea of feeling nostalgic for something that is so dumb.
Yeah.
It has pretty inappropriate at times and isn't like, you know, an emotional movie.
Yeah.
Is strange, but the trailers like really play that up, and it doesn't really feel like that a lot.
Ghostbusters Afterlife is best described as a nostalgia bomb.
Yeah.
It is like a ghost nostalgia bomb that has just been thrown to us from 1984. And, you know, if you grew up loving these things, you're going to love this movie even for its faults. They don't mention anything about Ghostbusters 2 in this movie, but they do hint at, like, you know, they struggled with stuff. That's post Ghostbuster 1. They're like struggling to meet ends. Ghostbusting was getting low.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like, if you love the originals, or even if you've watched them or are aware of them, you're going to like this movie. If you have no concept of what a Ghostbuster is or why it makes you feel good, then you might come into this and be like, oh, maybe I actually like Ghostbusters and want to go back. This is not, I mean, it's kind of a spoiler, but not really. The way they do the CGI for one of the characters.
Yes.
In like Rogue One, it's very jarring the way they do that CGI. I'm trying to speak vaguely because I don't want to spoil, but the way they do it in Ghostbusters Afterlife, it feels like the right way to do it.
And also
100%.
And I think too the story too, that it's like the way that they've set everything up, the way that they've addressed that, it's very respectful and it's very well done. I found myself like not being like, oh great, here we go again, like another Tarkin, you know.
The cynical part of my brain was like, you should be creeped out right now. But I'm like, no, this is wonderful. Like, I want to cry.
Out of 10, how many munchers would you give this?
I really liked this movie. 8 munchers out of 10. It was. I didn't feel like it was fan servicey, but I can see why. Because like I really like Ghostbusters, but I didn't watch it a lot as a kid. But once I got into movies later, I was like, oh, this is really fun. As a casual fan, it's great. And then if you're a movie fan, it's a great popcorn movie. It's funny. All the performances are fun.
Yeah.
And I miss Harold Ramis. And it's like a perfect way to like, not to get into spoilers, but they handle it perfectly.
Yeah.
Like, it's wonderful.
I'd probably go like 7.5 out of 10 munchers. This movie, to me, it's a great bridge. It's a great, like, I love all the fan service. I love the characters. I think the acting is really great. I mean, Paul Rudding it up, and I love it. Podcast is great. Just even like the little things, like the other people that show up that I'm not going to get into, like, I really like them too. But to me, it's like, I don't see myself rewatching this like a ton. You know, I think at this point, I really like it. If I'm rewatching all of them, I'll totally watch this one. But I'm not going to go out of my way like every Halloween to be like, I'm going to watch Ghostbusters Afterlife. Like I do, you know, Ghostbusters 1 and then Ghostbusters 2, New Year's Eve movie. Come on.
I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 munchers. I know I said stuff about fan service, but I loved it. I mean, it's like, for a casual audience, it can seem dull and stupid and corny. But for me, I was like, I love that dull, stupid, corny stuff. The only issue I have, so the original movies were PG, and there was no PG-13 at the time. So they were very not scary if you're going to watch it as a kid. This one is kind of scary for younger kids. Anybody younger than 7's probably going to be scared by definitely the opening. Your kid has to be at least 8 years old to watch this.
I'd say probably like 10. I don't know.
Well,
man.
I'm setting the bar low because
Okay, that's fine.
I watched the first
Hey.
Ghostbusters before I even had memories. So
They'll be fine. They'll get over it. Yeah.
they'll only have nightmares for about 3 months. You'll be okay.
Yeah, 90 days without sleep. That's fine.
That's easy.
You'll get over it.
That's a child thing. Every child doesn't sleep for 3 months at a time.
Un esercito di prodi